Right, so we're back and ready to jump headfirst into some serious NBA action.
Yeah, playoff basketball, man.
It's a different animal.
It is a whole different beast.
And we've been really digging into these recent game results. And like you said, you can just feel that intensity ratcheting up as we get closer to the postseason.
Oh yeah, every game matters now.
Every possession.
Every bucket, every stop.
Exactly. And the reports we've been looking at are just packed with these like edge of your seat moments, these huge swings in momentum.
Yeah, some real nail biters in there, some blowouts
A
too.
real mix.
Mm.
And we're here to break it all down, figure out what it all means for these teams as they make their final push for the playoffs.
Exactly. Like, what are the key takeaways here? What trends are emerging?
Right. So today we're going to focus on 5 specific matchups that really caught our eye.
All right, let's hear them.
Okay, so we've got the Lakers taking on the Pelicans, then the Clippers facing off against the Mavericks, then it's the Warriors and the Nuggets. Always a good one.
Oh yeah, that's a clash of titans.
Absolutely. And then we'll look at the Cavaliers versus the Spurs, and to wrap things up, the Rockets battling it out with the Thunder.
Right, a packed slate.
So much to unpack. Let's just dive right in, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right, first up, the Lakers versus the Pelicans. LA took this one pretty convincingly, 124 to 108, a real statement win. What jumped out at you?
Well, I mean, first thing that comes to mind is just the sheer offensive firepower of that Lakers squad.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you got Darnjit Reeves and James all dropping huge numbers.
Doncic with 35.
Reeves had 30 and 7 assists.
And LeBron putting up 27 and 8 assists.
It's like they were just unstoppable.
They were all in sync, and when those three are firing on all cylinders like that, it's tough for any team to keep up.
Yeah, you're not going to beat many teams with that kind of offensive output.
And even though the Pelicans were missing some key pieces.
Right. Zion and CJ were both out for this one.
Exactly. But even without them, I mean, Alvarado still had a great game, put up 27 points.
He did his best to keep them in it.
But it felt like once the Lakers really got going in that second quarter, they just kind of took control and never looked back.
They really did. And, the reports highlight a couple of things that were key for the Lakers in this one. First, their ability to get to the free throw line consistently really disrupted the Pelicans' rhythm.
Yeah, it's tough to get into a flow when you're constantly sending the other team to the line.
Exactly. And then on top of that, you had Austin Reeves just bringing that energy.
Oh, yeah, he was all over the court.
I mean, those drives, those hustle plays, it just seemed to lift the whole team.
He's got that spark.
He does. And that kind of sustained offensive pressure from the Lakers, even without the Pelicans at full strength, I mean, that's got to be a concern for their future opponents.
Yeah, definitely something to watch out for.
Yep.
All right, let's shift gears now. Head over to the Western Conference and talk about the Clippers and the Mavericks. This one ended 114 to 91 in favor of the Clippers, and it felt like a very different kind of win.
Yeah, this one was all about defense.
Yeah, they really locked down the Mavericks.
Suffocating defense, they really limited the Mavericks' scoring opportunities, which is huge heading into the playoffs.
For sure. And Kawhi Leonard led the scoring for the Clippers with 28, but James Harden had a big game too.
Yeah, 21 points and 10 assists for Harden. He really controlled the tempo.
And Zubac had a double 17 points, 10 rebounds.
Yeah, he was a beast on the boards.
But like you said, the story of this game was really the Clippers' defense. What do you think was the key to their success on that end of the court?
Well, the reports really emphasized their perimeter defense. They were contesting shots, preventing the Mavericks shooters from getting comfortable.
And the Mavericks were dealing with some injuries in this one too, right?
Right, they weren't at full strength.
And even though Anthony Davis came back and had a pretty impressive performance,
34 points in his return, that's not easy to do.
but it wasn't enough to overcome that stifling Clippers defense.
No, and that's a good sign for the Clippers moving forward. This win pretty much locks them into a playoff spot outside of the play-in tournament, which is huge in that tough Western Conference.
Avoiding that play-in pressure can make a big difference, for sure. All right, let's move on to a result that I think might have surprised some people. The Warriors taking down the Nuggets 118 to 104.
Yeah, that was a big one.
The Warriors snapping a 9-game losing streak against the reigning champs.
That's a statement win for sure.
Absolutely. And Steph Curry, well, he was Steph Curry.
Vintage Steph, 36 points. He was on fire.
When he's playing like that, the Warriors are a completely different team.
Oh, yeah, he's a game changer.
But it wasn't just Curry. Brandon Podziemski had a fantastic game as well. 26 points.
Yeah, he really stepped up.
And Jimmy Butler contributed 19 points.
Yeah, it was a real team effort.
And their defense was outstanding in this game, too.
Yeah.
They forced the Nuggets into 26 turnovers.
26 turnovers, that's a lot.
And they converted those turnovers into 23 points.
Talk about making the most of your opportunity.
Yeah, they really capitalized on the Nuggets' mistakes.
Yeah.
What do you think was the key to their defensive success in this one?
Well, the reports suggest they were much more aggressive in their rotations and their pressure on the ball.
They really seemed to disrupt the Nuggets' flow.
Yeah, they did. And even though they had a bit of a slow start, they really turned it on in those final 3 quarters, outscoring the Nuggets significantly.
Yeah, they showed a lot of resilience, and that's what you need in the playoff.
Absolutely. You got to be able to bounce back from adversity.
And this win has big implications for the Western Conference standings. It pulls the Warriors much closer to that 4th seed.
Yeah, which means home court advantage in the first round. That's huge.
Absolutely. All right, let's head over to the Eastern Conference now and talk about a game that went right down to the wire. The Cavaliers versus the Spurs, final score 114-113.
Oh, man. Talk about a nail-biter.
It doesn't get much closer than that.
1-point game.
Donovan Mitchell led the way for the Cavs with 26 points.
Yeah, he had another big game.
And Evan Mobley added 12.
Yeah, he was solid.
They controlled the game for most of it, but the Spurs, they really started to come alive in the 4th quarter.
They did. They outscored the Cavs by 8 in that final frame.
Devin Vassell was hot for the Spurs, 24 points.
Yeah, he was feeling it.
And that ending, oh man, Harrison Barnes hitting that 3 to bring them within 1.
And then that missed layup at the buzzer.
You can just feel the tension. Even reading about it, what does a win like this, even a close one, do for a team like the Cavaliers heading into the playoffs?
It shows that they can handle the pressure.
Right, they can execute down the stretch.
Exactly. Even when things get tight, they don't panic. And this win also puts them one step closer to clinching the best record in the Eastern Conference.
Which means home court advantage throughout the East playoffs.
That's a big deal.
All right, last but not least, let's talk about the Houston Rockets. They pulled off a pretty big upset, snapping the Oklahoma City Thunder's 11-game winning streak.
Yeah, that was a shocker.
The Thunder had been on a roll.
They had all the momentum.
But the Rockets, they came to play, and they won this one 125-111.
Yeah, they weren't intimidated at all.
Jalen Green had a phenomenal game for the Rockets, 34 points. He was unstoppable.
He was the difference maker.
The reports say the Rockets came out firing. They built a big lead in the first half, and even when the Thunder tried to mount a comeback, Houston always seemed to have an answer.
They weathered the storm.
They did. What do you think was the key to their success in this one?
Well, their offensive efficiency was really impressive.
Yeah, they were hitting shots from everywhere.
And they also did a good job of limiting the Thunder's transition opportunities.
So they forced them to play in the half court.
Exactly. And even though Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had another solid game for the Thunder, 22 points.
That's his 70th consecutive game with at least 20 points, by the way.
That's incredible.
And Chet Holmgren had a good game, too. 20 points and a career-high 6 3-pointers.
He's really starting to come into his own.
But in the end, it was the Rockets' overall team performance that won the day.
Yeah, they were just the better team on the night.
To go into Oklahoma City and end that kind of winning streak, it's impressive.
It really is. It throws a wrench into the Western Conference playoff picture.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so to wrap up this wild week of NBA action, we saw the Lakers flexing their offensive muscles, the Clippers showcasing their defensive dominance, the Warriors finding their groove against a tough opponent, the Cavaliers grinding out a crucial victory, and the Rockets delivering a huge upset.
It's getting heated out there.
It is. The playoff race is really starting to heat up, and these games, they give us a glimpse into what we might see in the postseason.
Yeah, you can see teams starting to fine-tune their strategies, players elevating their game.
The stakes are getting higher and higher.
Exactly. And for those of you listening at home, here's something to think about. Of these 5 wins, which one do you think is the most significant for that team's playoff aspirations?
And why? What's the underlying factor that makes it so important?
And looking ahead, what broader trends or potential playoff matchups do you think these results might be foreshadowing?
The NBA season is full of twists and turns, and we're in for a wild ride down the stretch.
Buckle up. It's going to be fun.
Thanks for joining us for another deep dive into the world of basketball.
Catch you next time.